So, Vish, I think it's maybe time for us to reverse the roles here, and maybe I could ask a burning question that I've had,
Sure, sure.
and I probably asked it in the last couple of years, but sometimes I forget the answers. And the answer was so good, I want to hear it again. When I think about Mercans, and I think about the the ability to give a customer that global view at their fingertips. It sounds simple, but we both know it's far from simple. So there's a lot of architectural considerations. There's a lot of intelligence built into the platform, and that's really the, let's say, the heart of Mercan's differentiation, to be able to take 10, 20, 50 countries and kind of the different infrastructures in those countries and be able to consolidate it all into a global view. And I know you started with a model, and then that model was reflected in the architecture. Can you speak to that?
Sure. Very interesting question, and I love to speak about it, Steve, because this is something which is a dream for every payroll organization, but not everyone can build it because it has to go and then align with the structure in which the product is being built. So, to answer your question, the structure in which like we build this application is completely driven by a master data set, which we call it as global data dictionary and the country level data dictionary. And these two are very critical for us to onboard and set up any country to kickstart the processing. And this covers almost all the requirements for the country specific and also at a global level. So that means the data point which is required for us to enable a country is already available as a data set. And this particular data set is not the only thing which is required for me to say that I'm live with the country. This data set will have to go through various rounds of testing or validation checkpoints, and these validation checkpoints are all built as a standard process for us. So it'll be like a set of around 40 scenarios, and these scenarios are getting added on a regular basis. As and when we see a corner case, we ensure that that particular validation rule is also built in as part of the test bed, and then all these data points for various countries run on all those scenarios. So that means the moment we talk about any country data which gets in, the moment I run the validation process, it ensures that the end-to-end scenarios for a typical payroll requirement is completely tested. So what does it mean to a layman? Is all about we are not adding country as a module, we are adding a country as a data set. And that's the difference which we bring into the table. So what will happen when there is a change happening? So the change, if it is a very simple change of a slab change, then it's all about going and tweaking the data. But if it's going to be something where a rule itself is getting changed, and this rule needs to go and then refer back to a different table or a range of data which is required to be picked up to run our computation, that is also set as a data for us. So we have something called option mappers, okay, and these option mappers are nothing but a reference point. It could be an array of data, it could be a boolean, it could be anything which is required which triggers a computation. So for us, the architecture is designed in such a way that my data will fit in, and then it will take care of all the scenarios whatever we've got, and any new scenario comes in, it's all about the data correction which I need to modify. Otherwise, I don't add as a module, and hence maintaining this single code becomes much simpler because Mercans is built purposely for the payroll industry. We don't get into a HCM, and it is not a HCM product which has got payroll as a module. It is a payroll product, and it can coexist with any HCM which is there in the industry. And we are not only targeting the big names like the Workdays and SuccessFactors, Oracle. We are also saying that any HCM company, even it could be a homegrown product, okay, homegrown application on HCM, we will be in a position to consume that data. And how we will be in a position to do it? One, we are the only organization, payroll organization, which has got an open API, and we listen and take data from various HCM systems. And whichever HCM system doesn't have the capability to provide the data to us using the open API, they can use our dynamic parser, which we call it as another tool. And this tool can consume data in whichever format the customer is providing or the HCM vendor is providing, you can consume, and then the data can be passed into the system. And we work only on one tagline, Steve, and which I love to talk about it is we collect data at source and only once. After that, the data travels, and we want to reduce the manual touch points throughout this process. Automation is a key, and to that extent, the moment I collect the data at source, and if I don't tweak the data throughout the process till I get the output, if there is an issue, I'll see a pattern of errors, and it is easy that I can go to the source and I know which source has given that incorrect data, which I need to correct it, than going into multiple points because the data is not touched throughout this whole cycle, and that's a journey, and that's the architecture which enables any organization to set into this particular model, and that will ensure that their data is always intact and it is always coming from the source and nobody tampers that source. So that's the robustness of this product, Steve.
I love the answer, and it reminds me of one of the kind of aha moments that I had when I was on the customer side, related to um, what to really consider when you're selecting a system. And for years, we've been in an industry where vendors come out and go, we have some new features, we have some new functionality. That's all well and good, but features and functionality are the easiest things to add and change. The types of additions that take the longest to improve upon are what I call platform attributes. Attributes of the platform are things like interoperability, configurability, usability, scalability. The extensibility is a lot of abilities in there, but those are all platform attributes. And for any customers that are looking at a selection process, those are the hardest things and take the longest to change. And when a vendor has that and is bringing that to the party, so to speak, that's where you're able to really reduce risk in a selection process.
No, that's true, and I think we can stand out there as a pure technology player and allow the rest of the organization to coexist. For example, a HCM company taking our product only to manage the payroll part, we will not be diluting their assets. Meaning, a HCM will be the one point of entry or one point of connect for an employee, and we will not dilute that because ultimately the gross to net, when once the platform hits computes the gross to net, the data can flow back into the HCM, and we don't have to give a separate chatbot, we don't have to give a separate mobile app, we don't have to give anything which is required a different UI. So all this UI can be the HCM UI. So we allow HCM to continue with their business, get their market share with the employee share, but we will be the catalyst, which is the payroll function, and we will be underlying computation compliant payroll system. So that way, the ecosystem is not disturbed, and we will remain as a catalyst for them to run any payroll using their HCM, and they can coexist with us.
Therein lies the answer to the question about where the strategic value comes from.
Of course.
Well, I enjoyed speaking with you as always, Vish. Thanks for having me
Sure.
on.
Thank you.